Budget Chief Shelley Carroll is about to start addressing the city reporters there that are live for the update. Let's listen in here.
It comes under a new administration and a new way of doing things. This budget is based on real conversations with you, Torontonians, the people of Toronto. For the first time in a long time, we're able to take part early on. So it truly reflects the cost of running the city that you expect, the one you told us you think you deserve. It's no secret that this is going to be a challenging financial year. That we heard, the community understands that very full well. 6 months ago, we inherited a budget shortfall of $1.5 billion, resulting from years of underinvestment and unpredictable partnership from other orders of government. With additional pressures continuing throughout 2023, particularly in our shelter system, that shortfall now sits at just below $1.8 billion. I feel strongly that we cannot keep kicking that can down the road. We need to get our city back on track. When I took on the role of budget chief last August, my first priority was to explore every avenue to bring that shortfall number down. So working closely with our Chief Financial Officer and the City Finance staff, we have found over $600 million in cost savings and cost avoidances for the 2024 budget year through sound financial management. We know that Torontonians expect us to make absolutely the most of our tax dollars, to be as efficient as possible. And that has been my directive to staff from day one. We also took immediate action through council and with the mayor on the shortfall by presenting and acting on the city's new long-term financial plan. We included in that implementing immediately a graduated municipal land transfer tax and increasing the vacant home tax. And of course, in November, Mayor Chow and Premier Doug Ford announced a very historic new deal for the City of Toronto. And in that new deal, in addition to significant capital investments in the city through the upload of the highways, the Gardiner and the Don Valley Parkway, this new deal includes $400 million in operating dollars to put towards the 2024 budget. I want to again extend my sincere thanks to our provincial government, to Doug Ford, for stepping up and recognizing that Toronto truly has unique financial challenges. They've been great partners these past few months. But even with all the savings we found and the new deal from the province being incorporated into the budget, we still knew that we were going to have to make some very tough choices. And it was essential that we make those decisions with the people of Toronto. That has been the mayor's directive all along. So for the first time in 15 years, we held consultations before the budget process, before this launch this morning. And that's what gave us the impetus, because we know what matters most to you, the Torontonians. We heard you loud and clear. While everyone is feeling the pinch, again and again, you told us that you still want us to protect the services that you rely on. So many people said again and again that they feel like our city is breaking down. Garbage bins full in our parks, roads cracked. People do want to get back to the Toronto that they remember and love. The Toronto we've come to miss in the last few years. Residents in every corner of the city told us to focus on the same things: delivering safe and reliable transit. Contribution from the New Deal will help with that, creating more affordable housing, and keeping our communities safe. And this budget makes key investments in all of those areas. We're investing in community safety by increasing the police budget slightly, but also expanding the Toronto Community Crisis Service citywide, which helps us with mental wellness, but also supports the efforts of the police. We're freezing TTC fares in 2024 because we need to keep transit affordable for riders right now, and we need to get people back to making the choice to ride the transit system. We're continuing to push forward to making housing affordable, all while completing careful reviews. You'll see in the coming months major reviews of our major divisions across the city to make sure that their operations are as efficient as possible. I've directed city staff to bring forward a balanced budget that protects our services and is honest about the cost of that. This year, that does mean a property tax of 9% on the operational side. We're also keeping in line with previous years in council policy, and we are increasing the city building fund by 1.5% so that we can keep up with repairs and building essential transit and housing. For the average household, these increases altogether mean paying about $30 a month. It means an additional $1 a day. That's what it really means to pocketbooks. There is only one piece outstanding, and it's a big one. The city continues to call on the federal government to provide the $250 million annually that we need to cover the cost of federal refugees and asylum seekers that are trapped in our shelter system. Toronto is a compassionate city and one that never wants to leave people out on the street. That's not just my words. Those are the words we heard this past November and last summer when people were camped out on the street. You told us that, and we're acting on that. We're doing all we can to house over 5,000 refugees and asylum seekers, but this is truly a federal responsibility. Despite months of conversations, we're still waiting for the federal government to decide how to proceed on that. If the federal government does not make a decision on how to proceed by the time we wrap up this budget, our final wrap-up will be January 26th, I will be forced to ask staff to bring forward a proposal for an additional federal impacts levy of 6%. That's the property tax cost of fulfilling a federal responsibility of $250 million. It would mean 6% on the property tax dollar. That would be the federal policy taking a direct hit on Torontonian pocketbooks. But it would be the only way we could avoid once again seeing those heartbreaking images of those people camped out on the street because they can't get into our intake center because we've run out of resources. I sincerely hope that the Trudeau government will make a decision to step up in very short order. I'm optimistic. So with this budget, we really think that we are putting this city back on track to financial stability. We want things to get better and better year over year over year, but we need our partners. We are being completely upfront and transparent about what it takes to deliver the city services that you rely on, what it takes to rebuild the city that so many of us miss. Some young Torontonians have never really known that city. It's time to get back to it. We cannot keep pushing the can down the road to future councils or to future generations. I've always said the same thing. I want to build a city that my grandchildren will want to stay in, will want to call home. But it needs to be a city that can deliver the services they need to have happy and healthy lives. I think we all need that for our future generations. So today is just day one. I want to close by saying that Torontonians, it's day one of the 2024 budget process, and there will be more opportunities for you to speak to this budget process than there have ever been before. In my 20-year career, this will be the most consultative yet. In addition to our regular scheduled presentations, Council will take their first crack at it, of course. In addition to the usual public deputations, we'll be hosting 3 citywide budget town halls where you will have the mayor on the line and able to answer your questions. I'll be joining local budget town halls throughout the various wards with various local councillors, as will our Chief Financial Officer, Stephen Conforti. All of these conversations will help shape the budget that Mayor Chow will bring forward on February 1st, the more final version of the budget. And I encourage everyone in the city to weigh in on the future of our city. I know that households across our city have very real concerns about affordability. I know that. But what we heard is that when times are tough, that is precisely when people need to be able to count on their city to deliver. And that's what we heard, and that's what we're trying to deliver in this budget. We are preserving the most essential services, and we are finally digging Toronto out of the hole that we have sat in for far too long. And with that said, we've got a big budget committee and a presentation to hear from staff. So I can take a couple of questions, but then we really want you to hear from the CFO and the city manager.
Councillor, the 9% tax increase, a lot of people have heard. There's going to be some serious sticker shock there. What you say to people who simply can't afford that?
Well, we've gone a long way over many years to explain to the city that, to the residents of the city, that we have an inadequate fiscal formula. We've been preparing people for that all along. It was really just brought into sharp relief by the pandemic. And we have reached a point now where we have, the post-pandemic types of influences coming at us. But chief among those, we have a new influx of asylum seekers and refugee claimants overwhelming a part of the city's budget. If we're going to be able to deliver all of the services we rely on, we've got to resolve that one. And at the moment, to resolve that and have a balanced budget that you can be confident in, the councillors can be confident in when they're calling staff and saying, I need this service to be better, we need to actually shore up this budget with the funds that it needs.
Councillor, the city building fund is really property tax by another name, just directed at.
All right, we've been listening in to Toronto's the city's budget chief, Shelley Carroll, sharing kind of the financial situation Toronto is in. The deficit has grown to $1.8 million after the shelter system is kind of being over-demanded with refugees and asylum seekers, saying that even though city staff found $600 million in savings, that is still not enough. Therefore, our property tax going up by 9%, and of course, the city building levy by 1.5%.
And perhaps the biggest headline coming out of that, Shelley Carroll saying if the federal government doesn't come to the table for Toronto to the tune of $250 million a year for the federal refugees and asylum seekers, that will be an additional 6% levy on Toronto taxes.